I am so happy that you're able to join us for this extended interview. Make sure to visit theoffbeatlife.com. Again, that's theoffbeatlife.com to get more killer resources. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us for this extended interview with Marissa, where she's going to share how to use marketing funnels for freelancers. Hey Marissa.
Hi.
Thank you for being here in this lovely living room that's not ours. Thank you, Jacob and Esther, for allowing us to stay in your apartment and being a pest. And also
Jacob and Esther from localadventurer.com. Be sure to visit their site.
localadventurer.com. So before we get to all of your marketing funnel tips, can you tell us a little bit about you and why you live an offbeat life?
I am currently the managing director of Darling Escapes, and I am the VP of innovation at a tech company. An offbeat life, I guess. It's a hard question. I live a life that fits me, that may not necessarily be the traditional 9 to 5 model that most, I'm going to say it out there, most 30-something-year-olds are used to or have built around.
Yeah, definitely not. I am pretty sure that for most of us who are in this industry, it's kind of hard to explain what we do sometimes,
Oh my
right?
God, yeah.
Most of the time I'm just like, I work online.
But you got to watch when you say that because
Yeah.
people can take that in not PG-13 ways.
Like, no, in a very PG-13
Teen
way, guys.
There are no cameras involved.
Well, there are, but not like that.
Not on the cam, not on the laptop.
So, talking about marketing funnels, what is that, Marissa? Can you explain what that is, first of all, before you give us the tips?
So, marketing funnels 101 essentially is getting a potential client or somebody that you deem to be a client all the way from somebody who doesn't know anything about you to purchasing the product or taking that tangible action that you want them to take. It essentially is, the best way to describe it is a series of steps that you take along the way that allow them to move closer to your end goal. Marketing funnels it's marketing 101. You can scale really well if you understand where your funnel is, and you can help your clients really well if you understand what part of the funnel you fit in as well. But yeah, it's mostly just think of it as a ramp and as a funnel that's super wide at the top where you're catching 1,000 people, and then your target demographic, people who have the money and the time to spend on your product, maybe there's 7 of them at the bottom. Mm-hmm. So they just keep coming down. You know what? Do you remember back in the day when you used to go to the bank and you used to dump all of your coins and they would sort them?
Yes.
That's what it is. That's the best analogy I can give you.
Yeah. Now, how can somebody apply this to their business? What if they're not a blogger? How do you do this?
You don't have to be a blogger. Although I think bloggers can definitely use marketing funnels, and I've seen a lot of bloggers who don't necessarily pay attention to that. Anytime that you're selling anything or anything transactional is supposed to happen at the end of it, having a funnel, you don't necessarily have to build your own funnel. You have to understand where you fit in a client funnel. So if you're a freelancer, for example, and you are a marketing specialist or you are a Facebook ad specialist, for example, you have to understand if you want to go work for an agency or you want to work for a company, you have to understand what part of that funnel that fits in terms of what their overarching goal is. You may not necessarily fit at the top of that funnel. You may not necessarily fit at the bottom of that funnel. You may be somewhere in the education part of that funnel. So it's understanding what the client's needs are and like deep diving on every client that you want to pitch to or you want to work with. And it's the same, like say, for example, you want to bring a social media client on board. It's not necessarily as easy as signing up a package of 10 tweets and like 5 Facebook posts or whatever it may be a month. It's understanding what their needs are, like what kind of clients they want to bring in and what do they want the clients to do. And then going from it. It doesn't have to be monetary. It could just be they want at the end of it, they want the client to sign up for a free trial of something, or they want the client to sign up on their mailing list. Whatever it is, understanding what the client's needs are, and then you can target your skill set based on that particular funnel.
And now, when you, for example, for you, for what you do, I mean, I don't know, do you pitch to brands anymore or do they just come to you? Because at this point, I'm sure you get a lot of emails
We do.
from,
We get a lot of emails.
yeah.
It's 50-50, to be quite honest. I'm very strategic in terms of the conferences that we go to or the conversations that we have.
Oh, speaking of that, because this is another thing, and we've talked about this, and I know I talk a lot about Jacob and Esther and also Marissa
She's a
because
fangirl.
I am, and also because they're pretty much, you guys are my mentors. Like, you're teaching me so many things. But we talked about this also, is being very strategic with the places, like you said, where you're going to when it comes to meeting people and also like events to go to. Now, how can somebody know that they're going to the right event and their time is actually going to be valuable when it comes to meeting people and networking?
And you have the ROI there. A
Yeah.
lot of it's research. For me in particular, it you have to have the specific goals. Like you have to understand what your goals are. For travel bloggers, for example, if your aim is to go and network with other bloggers and meet a couple of brands here or there, but learn something, you'd go to a specific type of conference. But if your goal is to go meet brands and not be drowning in a sea of other content creators, you have to go somewhere where it's not all bloggers, but it's buyers or PR reps that are going to be there. So it's understanding one, figuring out what your networking goals are or what your actual tangible goals are that you want out of that particular interaction. And then two,
Esther is looking straight at us. She's learning. She's like, no.
doing the research to make sure it makes sense. Sometimes I have conversations if I see a friend went to a conference or a few friends went to a conference, I'll have that conversation with them and I'll ask, is this worthwhile for you? What did you get out of it? And that's the beauty of being open with your information is other people are just as open with you and they'll tell you, you know what, this was worth it. Or no, I didn't get anything out of that. More than anything else, I think it's important to remember that the people on the other side of that conference also have tangible goals. There's a reason why they're there as well. It's not just to spend client money, it's because they want something to come out of it. So if it's a destination focused conference that you're going to, for example, you have to make sure that the right people are representing there. So if it's PR people that are there, great. If it's somebody who's working in sales, for example, it may not be worth your time. So it just knowing the nuances and knowing the details of the conferences that you're going to and then being really specific. We do 2 a year. We do one in January and we do one that we have coming up in June. And they're both one of like 2 of our bigger funnel packages, I would say. And we start off basically meeting both of the ones that we work with. Actually, we end up meeting about 25 to 30 people during one day, which sounds exhausting, but it's just their intro meetings and their big funnels. And then we kind of dwindle them down to see who has the budget, who has the time. Do we have the availability to do what they need us to do? And is there synergy in terms of like overlapping visions?
So, which two do you go to?
I go to IMM, which takes place in New York every year. And then I go to IPW, which is, I believe, invitation only. They accept not that I'm tooting my own horn, but the process is a little more refined, I would say, or a little more rigid than any of the other conferences that I've kind of experienced. But people are very specific goals in mind.
So going back to funnels, and you've even mentioned this when meeting people, it's not just, I know when people talk about funnels, you automatically think about email funnels, right? And that's not necessarily, from what I'm learning now, is the only way you can do marketing funnels.
No.
So can you tell us a few besides emails?
Well, honestly, every funnel there's different tools for it. I mean, my favorite one, to be completely honest with you, is Facebook. Facebook ads, Instagram ads, just because you can retarget people relatively easily. And once you're able to capture, or basically cookie, as I like to call them, cookie someone on their profile, you can keep retargeting to them until they land on the specific action that you want to have. Other things could be something as simple as getting people to opt into a race on the first one and then getting them to do it on the second or the third one, just because there's some sort of consensual consecutive, whether it's tips that they get or whether it's a bonus that they get, whatever it may be. It's basically getting people from point A to point B to point C, D, and whatever it takes to kind of get there. Cheapest one, dollar for dollar, Facebook ads, and understanding how to spend that. And you can combine. I think what most people forget is that it doesn't have to be one or the other. You can combine, like, your email list is gold, because you own that. And it's your website and your email list are the only two web properties that you have that you own. Instagram isn't ours. Facebook isn't ours. Nothing else is really ours. But you can combine that with Facebook ads and like supercharge your funnel. You can combine that with Instagram ads and like really supercharge your funnel. So it's really knowing where your audience lives and targeting and creating your funnel a little more specifically that way.
There is so much information, and if we keep going, we're going to be here literally for hours. You have so much information.
I have. Thank you.
Be like, oh my God. So anyways, what about this? What about that? How do we do this? Oh my God. But if you are interested, I'm sure Marissa, will you be able to answer questions from people? Because I know you're very busy.
Absolutely. It may take me a little while to get back to you, but I will.
So if anyone has any more questions about marketing funnels, or they just want to know more about you, where can they find you?
darlingescapes.com or marissa.anwar on Instagram.
Perfect. Thank you, Marissa, for sitting down here with me. And she's actually petting Sebastian, Esther and Jacob's cat now.
He's so cute.
He is really cute. They're like dogs, these cats.
They're just so hanging adorable. Out in my lap.
Yeah, Marissa's like, they love me so much.
Animals like me. Babies also like me. I'm a very likable person, apparently.
She's so lovable.
So lovable.
Thank you, Marissa, for giving us all of these incredible tips. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this extended interview with Marissa. Make sure to visit theoffbeatlife.com. Again, that's theoffbeatlife.com to get the full interview with Marissa, where she shares how to become a business-savvy female and create a successful women travel group. Thanks for joining me on this extended interview. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. We can also chat some more on Facebook at The OB Life. I'll talk to you soon.